When you talk about Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's the most famous racing facility in the world.
Oh man, 4 wide coming out of one.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Then around goes Ty Gibbs right in front of the field.
Wow, that was crazy. Everybody just fighting for space.
Is there any more meaningful place to you than winning here at Indianapolis?
One Indy. Wow! Yes! Let's go! Yeah! Yeah, let's go!
Good example of some of the action we've seen here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course over the years. Year number 4 taking place this afternoon, and we're getting ready for practice and qualifying for the NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers. The playoffs are coming, just 5 races away now. Some drivers who are in jeopardy of making the playoffs. Others are firmly locked in, including those that may have won 5 times this year. Look at John Hunter Nemechek with the run that he's having. Good morning, everyone. So glad you could join us this morning on the NBC Sports app from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Dave Burns, along with the Dales, Hall of Famers, Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt Jr. So, DJ, let's look at today and what the drivers are facing here. It's a great track. It's a difficult track. And as we've seen in the promo here, a little bit of chaos can happen.
A lot of chaos can happen, and so now let's throw a little water into the situation too. And the drivers are always prepared for anything and everything, but you would prefer. This is a difficult road course in itself. That is so flat. I think the sights are difficult, makes it hard to see exactly where your braking zones are. But now you add that there are going to be parts that are going to be extremely wet, others that are going to dry out quicker. But they're going to have to go out and get some laps here because this is the only time they're going to have before this afternoon's race.
Yeah, and I think, too, as a driver, a lot of these competitors don't have much experience in the wet, if any, right? This series runs more and more races in the rain. NASCAR sort of moving in that direction to do more with rain tires and so forth. So what a great opportunity. If I'm a driver, especially one of the young drivers with 0 rain experience, this is how you want to get it, and this is the only way you're going to get it, right? And this is no pressure. Just practice. Go out there at your own pace. Learn what you can about driving on a damp racetrack. Even if you don't race on a damp racetrack this weekend, you can learn something in this practice that might help you going forward.
Real world conditions, I think, is the best way to put it there. As you can see, the cars are rolling out. The track is open for practice. It will be 20 minutes, and from there, shall we just say the situation's a little bit fluid because the cars may or may not, be able to do their full qualifying session if the weather holds on. For more on the weather and what's going on down on the track, let's head down to Marty Snyder. Good morning, Marty.
Hi, Dave. Good morning to all of you guys as well. Just talked to Justin Allgaier a moment ago about going out on the wets here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course, and he said, I want to go out on the wets because, number one, there's an increased chance of rain later in the day today, so who knows, we might be racing in the rain today. But number two as well, I want the track to be dry. Everyone wants to qualify in the dry conditions if they can. You see John Hunter Nemechek on the track right now. So with all these cars out there, Dale Jr., kind of drying the track as they go along. Way too wet for slicks right now, but if you go out on the wet tires, to Justin Allgaier's point, might dry the track with qualifying coming up here in just a few minutes. They would all love to qualify in the dry if they could.
I agree, and there will be some teams that might not go out at all, hoping that that's what happens, right? Later in this practice, there is a dry line, there is the opportunity to put the slicks on, so some people won't go out here, help dry the track, wait on that to happen, and then put their driver on the track later in practice. I mean, it's 20 minutes, but this track could get a dry lane very quickly, to be honest with you. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. You certainly want to get your driver out there at least some to be able to see the track, right? Yeah. Just to get a familiar look at the racetrack before qualifying, especially some of the drivers who've really not been here that many times. So Sim can help you kind of understand how to get around the racetrack, but being able to go out there today before qualifying, at least get a couple laps. I mean, this is it's a tough situation for a crew chief, for a driver, on what to do. Do you trust your driver to go out there and take care of the car, not crash it on wet tires, even if you think you're not going to race in the rain? I mean, that's a risk. That's a big risk to take.
Yeah, and I think, as you pointed out, just seeing the track is helpful. I think the other thing that we might see then is the track dries out through the practice session somewhat. Then where we would have only seen one lap from drivers in qualifying, we might see multiple as they get there, because that's actually probably going to be on slicks by that time maybe. And then you can actually get some practice more than thinking about qualifying.
14 drivers making their first attempt at the Indianapolis road course. John Hunter Nemechek, the most recent winner in the series. What a day it was for him. DJ, his 5th win of the season, and it was interesting with teammates early on.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure after this took place very early on in the race as he got into the back of Ty Gibbs there. They were all kind of struggling with their handling, but was very patient through the day, played a little strategy to get themselves back up front, and then showed that they had the best driver in car on this afternoon. So he's won at a lot of different type of tracks. Don't know that you can say he's the favorite, but he certainly has to be right there in the top 3.
Yeah, when Ty Gibbs moved into the Cup Series, it opened an opportunity for this young driver, and the pressure was on at the start of the year for him to get the results. And it took a while for that to start to happen, but he's been on a tear. 3 wins in the last 5 races. We wait for drivers to sort of separate themselves from the pack in the playoffs as we lead up to the playoffs. Who is the favorite? I think he's established himself as the playoff favorite going forward, taking over from Austin Hill and a few other drivers who had a strong start this year. This is the type of performance I've been looking from John Hunter all year long, and who can stop him now, right? You got to go out there and you got to take the race to this guy if you're trying to beat him in the championship, because I think he's getting more and more confidence as we go.
Marty, those 5 wins have been impressive.
The 5 wins have been impressive, Dave, and what's crazy to me, with 5 races left in the regular season, the points for the regular season championship are tied. John Hunter Nemechek and Austin Hill, after 4,600 miles of racing, are tied in the points. So with those 5 races left, John Hunter told me, I feel like the advantage is on our side. You see Ryan Sieg spun around as we practice here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the rain tires. So, DJ, I'd love to get your thoughts on that. Do you think John Hunter's right? These 5 races left in the regular season may be in their favor to win that regular season title.
Yeah, I can't argue with that fact that it's not. John Hunter's proven that it doesn't matter the type and style of tracks, and we've got a couple of road courses, then we've got Daytona, so a lot of different type of tracks coming up, and I think that John Hunter has proven with he and his team that they're willing and capable to win pretty much anywhere that they go. If not that, run right up front, and that's going to be very valuable. You talk about his wins. He's amassed 30 playoff points to this point in time. There's going to be 15 and 10 for first and second that's going to be awarded at the end of the regular season. So that's almost getting yourself to where you're in a really good position, certainly to advance through the first round of the playoffs, if not all the way to the championship 4 in Phoenix.
You saw the orange 36 car of Josh Bilicki going around Nemechek. Another orange car we'll have an eye on today is the 48 of Parker Kligerman, currently 18 points below the cutoff, Dale Jr. So as he takes us around the track here, let's talk about the challenges he has here at the Indy Road Course.
Yeah, this is a tough little racetrack. Smooth, though. Not a lot of content in the braking zones, but you can slide the tires rather easily. This is a tough part of the racetrack, this back and forth through turn 5 and 6. If you don't hit this correctly, you lose time down this long straightaway toward turn 7. These are opportunities for other drivers to take advantage of you in the braking zone and make a pass on the inside of turn 7. And then another switch back in 8 and 9 that sets up passing opportunities coming into turn 10, DJ.
Yeah, I think that the difficult part is I've gone around here a number of times, not at speed, just going, but the sight lines are difficult, where a lot of other places, this is so flat. And so everything is away from the track. So even the signage that you have to help you as you enter some of these corners is far away from you. So getting those points and understanding that, especially when you're in traffic and racing around cars, makes it more difficult. So it is quite the challenge, but Parker has proven he's a really good road racer. Came close to winning at Road America just a couple of weeks ago, and had it kind of right there, and he just keeps cutting into this deficit. And we see right here what he was able to take the lead here, coming to get the white flag right here. But he got into the speedy drive. It had a lot of oil put down. You can see he slid off, and Sam Mayer was right there to take advantage of that. But that's just how close he was to being locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, he's been at the front of the races, the front of the battles for the ends of these road course races. Same thing at Portland, right up there at the front of that race at the end. Makes a little mistake right there, just sliding around. He's learning.
Just feeling it out, right?
Yeah, just learning a little bit there. But this guy has to have, everyone, especially Sheldon Creed, nervous going into these next several races. He's 18 points out of the top 12 to be able to make the playoffs, but his road course expertise, if you will, really makes him a great challenger to be able to get into the playoffs. I think he knows that. He knows he has to capitalize this weekend. He knows he has to get the stage points, and I think he can do it. It's going to be a fun race to the playoffs.
Justin Allgaier safely in with his win on this season, gets around the 0-8 of Camden Murphy. Murphy, a monster truck driver who wants to race NASCAR and race his monster truck, which I think is a great aspiration to have. He thinks the marketing connection, DJ, is just incredible, and I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, no, can't disagree with that. A lot of options and opportunities, and you have to think about trying to get in and maneuver through the different series. It's just understanding your place and how you navigate through that. We see Justin Allgaier here. Man, you look at the last 4 or 5 races, you could argue that he's been the best car and driver until the end of the races or something happening through this. They've let a lot slip away, and you look at the deficit that he has right now. Just with a couple of those, he could be right there. We talk about John Hunter Nemechek and Austin Hill tied for the lead for the regular season championship. Justin Allgaier's not far behind, but they have thrown away in the last 4 weeks in particular a lot of points, as we see another car around, as we are going to see here throughout this practice session probably. But Justin Allgaier, I think they need to figure things out quickly, because it would, as fast as the junior motorsports cars have become, that this team is not capitalizing on that as much as they really need to as they get ready for the playoffs.
Marty, how about Allgaier's teammate Josh Berry?
Yeah, it's interesting, Dave, of the drivers who have decided not to go out. Among them, A.J. Allmendinger sitting on pit road, but Josh Berry also sitting on pit road until right now. They're going to roll out right here. So a long debate on the radio between Taylor Moyer and Josh Berry. And Dale Jr., Josh Berry drives for you. You know he's not the best road course racer on the planet. And Taylor said, we cannot practice if you want to. I'll leave it up to you. I don't think it would hurt for sight lines. And then Taylor also said, I don't think it would be a bad idea to put in a lap. So if you're not really comfortable at road courses in the first place, Junior, do you blame Josh Berry for not really wanting to go out here in this session?
Well, I think, A.J. Allmendinger's also rolling around this time, so he's an expert at this type of thing. So if, following what he's doing is always going to be a good thing. When the track was, when track first opened, there was a lot of standing water, very, very damp. Now we're 10 minutes in. Cars have pushed all that water away. Yes, it's still damp, but it's a much better racetrack right now than it was when practice started. If I got a young driver that's not really confident or doesn't have a lot of great experience or good results on the road courses, I'd certainly rather put him on a track like this than I would starting practice. Starting practice would have been very difficult. So it's probably yes, it's limited time, but everybody's limited. 20 minutes is not a lot of time, and I think you can learn a lot just in a couple laps here as we start to close out practice.
And just so you know, I'm not sponsoring Josh this weekend. That's not mine. That's Jarrett Companies out of Orville, Ohio. Dale Jr. and Josh and I were just there Thursday evening for a great event that they had. But Mike Jarrett and his people, a lot of fun with that sponsorship, and glad to see them. They'll have a whole group of people here today to watch Josh try to win this race.
Yep. There's A.J. Allmendinger getting around the racetracks. It goes by Brandon Jones in the 9 car.
Did the cross-country run between Road America and Richmond a couple of weeks ago. Little trophy hunting up there in Road America. Didn't go their way, Dale, because electrical problems he had on the day, and it kind of soured for him. Maybe a day that would have been really fun to pump him up for the coming weeks. But here he is again, getting some more laps here on the road course.
Yeah, and he's just good here. So.
Yeah. He has a lot of great experience. I mean, this is the Cup race 2021. A lot of things going on up at the front of the field. He was able to capitalize and win for Collie, be able to kiss the bricks for that young team. In the Xfinity Series, the last 3 races here, 4th, 2nd, and then this win just last year. So you know that AJ is going to be at the front of the field. You know that he's going to be taking stage points and possibly the trophy from some of these regulars this weekend.
on board with AJ, watching him work. 14 turns here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they rebound from that. We know that Road America was a huge disappointment. They put a big effort in getting AJ there, missing practice and qualifying at Richmond in his Cup car where he's battling for a spot in the playoffs too. And to go there and really, he showed speed at the beginning of that race, but once he fell out of the lead, they never recovered from that. So how do they come here, and what are their thoughts? Is the car going to be better?
I think that it just shows you how tough this series is for anybody, even as good as AJ is. When you don't do it every single week, the cars are so different from the Cup cars nowadays. When you jump in this Xfinity car, you have to readapt to the H-pattern shifting and the grip in the tire and the sidewall being different and all those things. And when you're not with the team every week working forward to a goal, you hop in this car for the one-offs, it's tough. This series is tough. The competitors are tough. They're doing it every single week. They're tuned in and plugged in.
Fourth in the regular season points championship is Cole Custer. And even so, Dale Jarrett, after he got dinged this week on a penalty, NASCAR didn't like the splitter that was on the 00 last week, one of those parts they don't like to see modified at all.
That's exactly right. You said it exactly. What happened is it apparently had been modified somewhat, and that's one of the areas that you are not allowed. That's a part that's made, and that's how you put it on, and it's to stay that way. So they'll take their penalty. Better that it happened now than when they get in the playoffs. I'll say that much.
And we said that Parker was a possibility, AJ always a possibility. How about Cole Custer? Let's go back to Portland and what he did there. Just another good day for this driver on a road course. Oops, hello. Thank you very much.
Yeah, opened the door for him there. I could have drove through that hole, but I don't know that I could have gotten in that position to start with. But, sometimes you just right place, right time, and he did a great job with getting the win.
Good day for Cole Custer out west. How about the Midwest for him, Marty?
Hoping for another good day on the road courses. Obviously has been so strong on those so far this year for Cole Custer. He is in Group A, Dave, and I'll go back to the debate we had at the very beginning of the session. He came on the radio a moment ago and he said, I do not think this track is going to be dry even for Group A. So an interesting point there. You kind of see the dry line developing, DJ, but he says it's not fully in all the way around the racetrack. So qualifying could very well happen with these wet tires with just 4 minutes left in this practice session.
Yeah, the thing is so much is going to change because they're like 10 seconds slower than what they were running here last year on a dry track with these wet tires and the wet conditions that they have. So that changes everything. Your braking zones, the amount of grip, how much can you trust it? You don't want to run off in qualifying because then you're kind of giving that everything away at that point. So it's going to be some interesting decisions coming up for the crew chiefs and the drivers.
And remember, the day started with a little bit of a delay for weather before they even got going. So NASCAR has called the situation a little bit variable for now. 20-minute practice session happening in its entirety. And then they were set to do 2 rounds of qualifying, split into 2 groups to start with, and then a final round. But we're not sure that's all going to happen. Still waiting for the final word from NASCAR. And then, DJ, the decision. Do I send my driver out in this on the wets, or would I get to put the dries on?
Yeah, that's going to be, I think we're going to see some people wait, but no more time than you have, especially if it's what we're being told might happen is everyone, one session for qualifying, everybody out there. So then you have to pick and choose where you're going. I mean, yeah, this is a long road course, but running up on a car that's going slower than you during that time, if you have to deviate from that dry part of the track and get outside of that, then you're going to cost yourself a lot of time. So there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made.
DJ, this is going to be a fascinating qualifying session. Just 3 minutes left in practice, as you see, as we ride on board with Kaz Grala. Meanwhile, Justin Allgaier, contrary to what Cole Custer said, he said, I think the track is ready. So Allgaier wants to put slicks on in this practice session and make a run right now. So Jim Pullman quickly got this set of slicks ready. They're not sure they're going to be able to make it out, but Allgaier's going to hustle back to pit road and try the slicks in this practice session to see how they go. Here he comes down pit road right now. I don't know, looks awfully wet to me, Junior, but Allgaier thinks they can make a run at it.
Yeah, Justin's always, that's Justin in a nutshell, man.
He's a gamer, isn't he?
He's eager and a little bit over aggressive at times, and that gets him in a bit of trouble. But yeah, I mean, he wants to go out there and see what this feels like. As a driver, you're curious. You really want to have all.
We don't need to wreck.
And that's Jim Pullman. See, Junior, he's saying you're 100% sure about this now, right? I don't want to wreck this race car.
Yeah.
You're sure you want to do this?
Yeah, I don't know if this is exactly what a crew chief thinks needs to happen, but as a driver, you're curious. You want information. And so he's going to go out there on the racetrack, and I mean, you would think he's not going to push it as hard as he can. He's not going to get anywhere near pushing it enough to get himself in trouble, but he will try to learn everything he can. If he thinks, too, just like Cole Custer, that this track could still be damp in a lot of locations, he needs to go out there and figure out what these slicks can do. Is the slick tire going to have enough grip around a track like this? So driver wants to learn, trust that he's a veteran, trust that he can go out there and bring the car back in one piece.
And Junior, for what it's worth, I see rooster tails still down the front stretch. May not be visible to our cameras, but I still see them as they flash by, the rooster tails. And Jim Pullman kind of pointed to one a moment ago to say, hey, looks still wet to me, but hey, if you want to try it, driver, we trust you.
Yeah, the backside of the track still damp in a lot of the corners, just not a lot of time and pace to be able to dry this track out properly or entirely.
No rooster tails on the back there, DJ, so the back looks a little drier than that front straight.
Yeah, and actually the front straightaway, it's just that some of them are trying, because it's gotten so dry and they're on the wet weather tires, they're trying to cool those off a little bit. And I think that's where we're kind of seeing the rooster tails there. They're intentionally doing that for there. So we see Justin Allgaier trying to get out. There's less than a minute to go. He can't even make it back around here.
He can get
in time.
most of the lap.
But yeah, but you can do that whenever we get ready to qualify instead of taking the set of tires here. It's not me and Charlie. I would not have done this, but hopefully this all works out. And if he can find out anything here, it could be a huge advantage to him as qualifying starts. Maybe he, even looks at it that, hey, I'm going to be the first one to jump out here and go get things done.
Veteran Justin Allgaier still looking for that Xfinity Series championship. Could be this year. Could little decisions like this, gathering information, help him to that trophy? Braking zone.
You can see it's not comfortable. It's not entirely dry, and like right through this part of the racetrack, we're still a little bit damp through here. But Justin, I mean, he's learning something. It might not apply to today or what he's going to do the rest of this weekend. But as I said, this series and NASCAR in general, I think, is moving toward racing more in these type of conditions when possible. So as a driver, he's out here learning something.
He's going to be the only one, because I don't think another car had slicks on here. So I would say that this is probably, I think it's plenty dry to do this. Maybe a good decision. When you're standing here watching this as the owner side, I know that you're working here, but you watch this as owner. Are there times that you like, I wish I had a radio to tell them that's not a smart move?
I can't. Yeah, I mean, I just watch it and hope the car doesn't hit anything. Right? Just hope that he doesn't slide off the track into the tires and make us all look crazy.
I know the track is getting faster as we run there, but there's no way I can get to that 40 with what I had.
So there's the radio from Justin Allgaier. And let me defend Justin a little bit. I mean, and Junior, you know this. In the rain race, the key to everything is the first one to slicks who can make it work, always has the fastest time, always usually winds up winning the race as well. And Justin just came on the radio as he was kind of pulling into pit road there, said, yeah, it's not quite ready. And you heard the end of that radio. He said it's close, though. So it is very close. And the interesting part here is that NASCAR is going to put the drivers and teams on a little bit of a hold. So you got to wonder if the sun can do some of that drying of the racetrack as well in this hold. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting. Do you go out on slicks, or do you brave it on that, or do you just go out on rain tires and play it safe in this qualifying session?
Shall see what we get. You see the practice time is now over. NASCAR hasn't told us exactly what they're going to do yet, although there's going to be a little bit of a break here for us to think about it, DJ. And as we look at the times that came down in this 20-minute session, we saw that Allmendinger was quick, not unexpected.
Yeah, these times are kind of all over the place because of the track. In terms of where your driver is in the field, I wouldn't take too much stock in it. And even if they do dry the surface of the track, I mean, there's still water sitting in curbs and odd places that the drivers are going to put their tires and bring moisture to the surface of the racetrack. But
say some names here. Sheldon Creed there in 7th. Remember, he's the driver on that cut line with Parker Kligerman. Jeff Burton, nice morning run for him for the 2017. Preston Pardus in his very own race car. His dad's crew chiefing this weekend, so good luck, Dan, on the pit box for him. And Riley Herbst with a top 10 run as well.
Yeah, a couple surprising names there.
Yeah.
Josh Berry in that 8 car ran a 40. Get out and be pretty happy to be in the same second bracket as A.J. Allmendinger with the conditions of the racetrack. Sheldon Creed, who needs a great run this weekend.
Yeah, and 3 of the top 5 there that we saw, A.J., Sam Mayer, and Josh Berry, all waited very late in the practice session before they went out. So they didn't get out there whenever it was very treacherous, where there was so much water. So that was probably to their benefit to do that and see what the track, let it get dried out as much as possible.
So there's your top 10. Practice is over. NASCAR making a decision now on how they're going to approach the qualifying session. Remember, Cup Series practice and qualifying is coming up as well. And we mentioned in the top 10 that red, white, and blue 50 car of Preston Pardus. He has a couple of wins here on the Indy Road Course in a Mazda. I asked him if he'd ever driven in the rain with the Mazda, and he said nope. So what if you get rain on Saturday morning? He said, oh, I'm game. And apparently he's quick too.
Yeah, well. So it'll be interesting to see, does NASCAR make the decision that everybody's on the same tires? Are you going to have an option of which you do? I think that will be something. You would want to think that everybody's going to be everybody on wet. So now you're
breaking news, DJ.
Here. Breaking news.
Breaking
so
news.
They've answered my question before I could even get it out.
Well, they're listening. 1 round, all cars, everybody on the track. Dale Jr., 20 minutes, and they have to run on the wets.
Yeah, so basically just kind of a carbon copy of what we just did for practice. And I think, honestly, that's probably the fairest thing.
Yeah.
Instead of splitting it up where the track's going to continue to improve and be an advantage for a different group or the later group, this puts everybody in the same box on the same tire. The wet weather tire is kind of soft. You can be really aggressive with it. It will have a little bit of fall off since the track is rather dry in a lot of areas, so your quick laps will be on the front end of the run for sure. So you'll need to take advantage of it as soon as you get out on the racetrack. But I think this is a really smart move, a fair move for the entire field.
Let's head down to Marty with dry tire pioneer Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, fair move for the entire field, but your driver, Junior, is pretty crushed about that. So did you think it was ready on the slicks?
Do I think it was ready right then? No, I don't. But I think it's gonna be there really quickly. You know, obviously online is drying out pretty quickly with the sun being out. You know, there's still some areas. I feel like with the corners, everybody's kind of fading out in the corners, but everybody seems to be kind of running that main line on the straightaways. So the straightaways were really good. Braking zones were really good. But you know, it's what we're gonna have to deal with here. We'll just have to go make the most of it. But proud of the team. You know, proud of the effort with our brand professional agriculture Camaro. I feel like we were in a good enough position where we could even try putting slicks on there in practice and see what it does. We know that later this afternoon it's going to be on slicks, but you know, it's Indy. Anything can and will happen here at this place. We all know the weather is a little bit crazy in the Midwest. We're going to go make the most of it.
So with NASCAR's call to go to all rain tires for everybody, is that honestly, I know it's not what you wanted, but the most fair move for the entire garage area?
Yeah, I mean, I remember last year in Portland when the rain kind of deviated between Group A and Group B. One session was significantly faster than the others, and that made it a big challenge for anybody that wasn't in that top 5 going to the second round. So, you know, I understand the call to it. I think we're going to burn some rain tires off of them here. I think it's going to get dry enough really quickly to burn the rain tires off, but you know, it's just the situation we're in right at the moment.
So then what will be the challenge? Having to do it on rain tires on a mostly dry racetrack?
Well, I think, you know, I don't think you're going to get many laps. You know, I think that's the biggest part. You know, with the rain tire being as soft as it is, and the block moving around like it does, you know, they're not like your 60,000-mile street cars that you put on. These things are really, really soft, and the tread actually moves a lot. So, you know, as the course of the lap goes, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel it under braking. And I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, but once they start degrading and getting worn off, they just get slower. So, you know, we'll have to be really careful. Do you push early or do you wait till it dries out a little bit more? I don't know what the right answer is, but I know that I got a good team behind me. We'll figure it out.
This is going to be fascinating, guys. And the other thing to kind of throw into the mix, Dave, do you use multiple sets of rain tires in this qualifying session? They're at your access, right?
Yep.
But you would do that at the peril of not having them for later in the day. So how good of a weather forecaster do you feel like you are?
Well, I'm bad, so I'm not even going to weigh in here. But I do know that they're given 5 sets of Goodyear wet weather tires for the weekend. So, Dale, we just burned one here, right? You're going to put on a fresh one for qualifying. That leaves you with 3. But we don't even know if they're going to start in the wet.
Yeah, I think you would want to run as much as you could. And so every lap that, Allgaier and all these guys run, they get faster because they learn more, right? They understand where the grip is, how to push the car harder. So every lap's going to be a better lap. And so I would put my driver out there immediately, let them go run, and then put on another set of tires right at the end to be able to pop off another couple of laps to see if we can really, really improve our lap time. I would definitely use 2 sets here if we could. A.J. Allmendinger, though, he probably doesn't need to do that.
Yeah.
He's good enough that he doesn't need to go run laps to get better. He's going to be great. So put him out there late in this session when the track's as dry as possible and as fast as possible for one or 2 laps and let him go.
Yeah, you come here thinking that, okay, we've got this amount of time for practice, and then we're going to have our regular qualifying sessions, and then all of a sudden you wake up and it's raining, and then it rains harder, and so now you're having to think about so many different things than what you were planning on, because it actually looked like if we got rain today earlier in the week that it was going to be in the afternoon, and it may affect the race, where it's affected practice and qualifying here now. So decisions to be made as to when you go out here, the amount of tires you do use, and because there is that possibility still of weather and some rain later this afternoon. So whatever you do here could affect your race this afternoon too in a lot of different ways.
Unaffected is the great viewing you're going to be able to see from the races here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course today, 11:30. Cup practice and qualifying, that will be on the NBC Sports app. And then 2 o'clock for the NTT IndyCar Series, Graham Rahal on pole for this afternoon's race. What a start to the weekend for that team from right here in Indianapolis. That'll be on the USA Network and Peacock. And then 5 o'clock, countdown to green for the NASCAR Xfinity Series from right here at the track. And we'll go racing shortly after that. And then Sunday, it's all NBC. It'll be 2 o'clock Eastern, countdown to green, followed by the Cup Series race. We'll find out who's on pole for that group a little later on this morning on the NBC Sports app. So when you think about wet weather and road courses, you might remember back to the streets of Chicago and DJ, what Shane Van Gisbergen was able to do on this weekend.
I'm glad you brought this up, Dave. I forgot all about this. What an incredible day for this young man. Just to come in and do what he was able to do there. Such a popular win, as you can see. But just the thought of someone that had never been in these cars, never raced against these competitors, to come in and have the abilities and skills that he did. So it's going to be another interesting weekend for him at a track that he's never been on once again. And that's going to be the difference is the competitors, the guys that run in the Cup Series on a regular basis, they've been here a couple of years, so they might have a slight advantage.
Yeah, I'm eager that I feel like we're very fortunate to be able to get this combination. We saw what he did when we went to Chicago to street course, which he's very familiar with street courses and running in the rain. So he had a massive advantage that I don't think we even really all respected or recognized at the moment. So now we all wanted to know what happens when he comes and runs at a place where we're familiar with. We get this opportunity this weekend. I'm so eager to really be able to see how he measures up in this scenario. And, the field is stacked with a lot of other international drivers as well. And that whole movement's compelling.
Yeah.
And what that means for us as NASCAR fans going forward in the future.
And Dale Jr. had a chance to discuss some of that with Shane earlier this week on the Dale Jr. Download.
People will take advantage of your inexperience,
Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. Yeah.
So that you'll just have to know that that's coming.
Give it to them back.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that yet.
if you watched COTA, right, you saw a lot of those guys get taken advantage of, right?
Yep.
They had no idea how bonkers that entry to one was going to be on those restarts late in the race. Indy's going to be very similar. Turn 1 to Indy's very similar to COTA, right?
Yep.
Wide racetrack, bottleneck down into nothing.
Yeah, I think they've moved the restart zone.
They did.
Said, but I was most worried about that joining double file restart and you get stuck on the outside, looks like it's all over for you.
Good.
So
yeah.
with a different position, it might be a bit better.
Hopefully that change in the start finish or the restart zone, moving that around a little bit, is going to improve things.
Yeah. It's exciting to watch, but being in it, you probably don't want to be.
That's a great point. Yeah. So as a broadcaster, I think what we saw at COTA, nobody wants. Yeah, nobody wants that.
Do we have a reputation for being idiots?
Oh, not idiots.
In road courses,
being aggressive, for sure. Like every highlights reel you see, like the best one ever, I think, is that Watkins race with Marcus and Brad and Kyle. That was loose,
insane.
but that was amazing.
But at the same time, dude, when I started watching V8 supercars back in the early 2000s, y'all drove the same way.
Similar, yeah. But now they've changed it, yeah. How we go, we have no idea. This track's going to be tough. The street circuit was perfect for me. No one knew it. I raced street tracks a lot. Whereas here, they've been here the last 3 years, I think this race has been going for. They know, they got a lot more information about it. It'll be tough. And we only have 20 minutes practice. It's going to be difficult.
That's interesting. Yeah. I think everybody said, after Chicago, they were like, well, if he comes back and he runs a track that we know, the results will be somewhat different. But to your point, man, I didn't even think about that. Like your practice will be super limited. Yeah. Everybody's going to have all kinds of experience and knowledge, but I believe by the end of the race, man, I mean, you've got it all figured out.
Yeah, hopefully.
How broad was the swing of progression from the start of the race at Chicago to the end, right? And your speed and your ability, knowledge of the braking performance and all the things.
Yeah, like I was quite weak under braking mainly in qualifying, and then in the race I just learned more and more every lap, particularly when it dried out, and I kind of got in a spot where I had the track to myself and I tried some things and got better and better. Yeah. And then by the end of the race I was fine, but it's just there's so many little nuances about this car and trying to learn how it works. And it's a pretty different tire, how it works. The tire is really good compared to what we have, but it's difficult how it works and just trying to learn. And there's no tire pressure rule here, so you're running the thing so low. And when you leave the pit lane on the low tires, it feels like something's wrong.
Around. Yeah.
It's crazy, but you get so much performance from it.
You can catch that full episode on Peacock and find out everything Shane had to say to Dale Jr. We're looking at that new restart zone that they were talking about. And Dale Jr., I think it is going to spread things out a little bit as they head catastrophically toward turn number 1. It used to be right before the start-finish line. Now it's over between 12 and 13.
Yeah, that faint line right there across the racetrack's the beginning of the restart zone. And so basically, as the cars accelerate, they'll have to come around this bend, the final turn onto the front straightaway. And the idea is to get a little distance between maybe the top 5 and top 10 cars and the rest of the field, so they can't all pile into turn 1 and drive on top of each other. And we've seen that be effective. And so I think it's a great move. I still think that we will have drama in turn 1, especially in this final stage. It takes one guy to start something down there, and I think we'll still see some of that. But certainly a better situation for the drivers.
Yeah, it's always so exciting. You get here, everybody knows that the opportunity is here. You just drive it in there as hard as you can, and all it takes is just that one bump for somebody trying to outbrake the next one and going to get in. You misjudge that a little bit. So many things can happen. And yes, things are going to be spread out a little bit more. So we might not see the 3 and 4 wide for 3 and 4 rows. I mean, this just continued. Every single time, every single restart that we had, it just continued. But you're still going to see a lot of action down there. I don't care where they put the restart zone. That's still going to be the corner that's going to get the most attention from these drivers. And I'm going to go back to SVG just for a sec. That man's got a little bit of David Pearson in him. I don't know if he ever knew anything about David Pearson, but he didn't show. He said he learned as he went through Chicago. I think he probably learned a lot, but I think he didn't show exactly how good he was until it came time to win that race. And so don't let him fool you that he's going to be at a disadvantage here. He's going to be right up there with them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's going to be compelling to see how they run. They got a limited amount of practice. It's kind of flipped from what the advantage he had in Chicago. Now the Cup guys, our regulars, have the advantage here this weekend, Marty.
Junior, let's chat with A.J. Allmendinger, fastest in that practice session. So what's your verdict on dry track versus no dry track, and NASCAR saying you have to go out on the wets, A.J.?
Yeah, I think it's I don't think it's the right choice. I think he at least should have the option. But
You know, it's the same for everybody. So we're all going to qualify in wets. Track is pretty dry already. You know, there's a couple of spots it's still damp, and we'd have to hang on to it with slicks, but it is what it is. We don't make that call. So the Leaf Home Water Solution Chevy was okay in practice. I was kind of shocked we were the quickest. It's so tough when you're on these Goodyear tires. You're kind of sliding around. You feel slow. So I was kind of shocked to look up at the board and see where P1. But, yeah, it'll be a whole different ballgame as this track dries out. Really just trying to judge on whether we need to go right now with there's still a little wetness to keep these tires cool, or do you wait till it's fully dry?
So what will the decision be? Because will it only be one lap that'll work in this with the wet tires?
I don't think it would be one lap, but I think if you can get it in one lap, it's better. But I think you can make it work for a couple laps. But it's just hard to tell. So we're gonna get in this thing and go find out.
Yeah. So on the other side, you need win. You need a points on the Cup Series side to be able to make the playoffs. Do the laps today help or hurt you for tomorrow? Because totally different shift pattern, totally different car, but you get in the rhythm of the race.
Laps never hurt. You know, maybe you don't carry over setup stuff or tire pressure or anything like that over to the Cup car with how different they are now, but laps always help. And like last year, if we get to kiss the bricks on Saturday again, definitely puts me in a lot better mood on Sunday.
There you go, no doubt about that. So that's a fascinating debate, though, DJ. I mean, completely different cars, right? Totally different shift pattern, as Junior mentioned a moment ago. So you think the laps today help AJ for tomorrow?
Well, I don't know how much they will help, but as he pointed out, it never hurts whenever you can get reps, get more laps, just get yourself comfortable with the sight lines, with everything that goes on. So, yeah, the cars are completely different, but when you have someone with the experience of an AJ Allmendinger that is so good at this type of racing, and he's doing it, then there has to be a little bit of an advantage to being in the car both days.
See AJ getting buckled in there. Safety equipment. Very, very important. Every little piece of it that he will utilize. There goes his Hans device. Keep his head in position in the event of an impact. And then all the buckles that will belt him into this number 10 car. And DJ, as they roll around here, just a reminder, 20 minutes, everybody, all at once. And so this is your one opportunity to get the pole or see where you stack up.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is everybody's going to be out there trying to make sure that your spotter helps you get in a spot, Junior, that you're not going to be, that your lap's not going to be affected, and you hope that no one pulls out to affect your lap.
Yeah, car coming around the racetrack, trying not to, these tires, as AJ mentioned and as we talked about, a little soft, and they're going to wear out. They're going to fall off after a couple laps, so you don't want to beat them up on your out lap. You don't want to beat them up coming back to pit road. You're going to have cars slow on the racetrack, just trying to conserve that tire and take care of it. So you definitely don't want to get caught behind any of those cars. And it's interesting now as we see who's going to go first. I don't think, obviously I think at the end of this session, that's when the track will be in the best shape to run the fastest lap. But we got some drivers already going out there to attack.
Junior, I think that conversation AJ brought up is fascinating. When you go, do you go early on here? To his point, and we kind of talked about this a little bit off camera, if you're going to go find those wet spots, those are offline. That's not going to be the ideal line around the racetrack to maximize your time around the racetrack. So do you go search those out, or do you just say, hey, I'm going to run as hard as I can in the optimum line and see what happens from there?
Yeah, I think AJ's good enough that he can go out and run the best lap he can run right out of the gate anytime, right? So for him, he can just wait, be patient, go out when the track's as dry as possible and hammer a good clean lap. As long as there's not a lot of race cars in his way on the racetrack at the end trying to do the same thing. Right now, the drivers that are on the racetrack still have some damp areas. There are a lot of dry lines, but the track is not exactly in the best shape, especially like through this area, right? It's still a little bit damp in the racing line. So
the NASCAR Hall of Famers to my left and my right have both been behind the wheel. Dale Jr., you first. What would you like? You want to get right out there?
Well,
attack it aggressively?
I want to go on out there and run as many laps as I can. If I'm able to put on another set of tires during this practice or during this qualifying round, that gives me the idea to go out there and just try to learn and get faster and faster every lap, because not a lot, I mean, even, most of the field doesn't have a ton of experience on this racetrack. Every time they're going to go out there, especially in damp conditions, they're going to improve their lap time just by learning.
Well, I can tell you, I want a dry racetrack. I had a hard enough time staying on the track when everything was dry. So you put any wet conditions, I don't think I'd be very good. But so I think I would probably want to wait and things get completely dried out. And then
there you go.
Justin Allgaier off. So this is messing things up right from the beginning for this team, this driver and this team.
Off in turn number 1. We just talked about the fact that the restart zone should make that a little less chaotic, but we also saw in the highlights drivers on their own, DJ, under heavy braking.
Yeah, the absolute worst spot that you could, because now you've messed up 2 laps basically. So he's just going to have to take his time going around because he's already built up some heat in these tires. And you can see just trying to get a little bit more. He was trying to really get a good arc to where you could really cut that corner and keep your speed rolling through the center of the corner, and just got out from under him.
We only got about 6-7 cars on the racetrack right now, so not everybody eager to jump out there and get after it.
Dale Jr., is he watching his temps now to make sure he didn't get grass on the grill, or is he destined to stay out there and just hammer down?
I think right now he knows this lap is a throwaway, so he's trying to go out there and see where the grip is. You see the car moving around, so he's still pushing hard, trying to learn what he can. Does he come to pit road, cool it all back down, reset, or does he try to go for another lap here?
This is where he'll be able to enter pit road if he wants to, or continue on.
Gonna go, gonna stay on the track. Doesn't take pit entrance there to the left.
Yeah, you have to get some kind of lap down here quickly and at least have that. So this might be a little bit on the conservative side if Justin has that in him. He's kind of the Mark Martin of these days, where he likes to get out and show you everything that he's got right from the beginning. But, you know, this corner coming up, it's going to be in his mind right now.
A little more safely through turn 1 that time for Allgaier. You see Ty Gibbs has put up a 135 flat. Will Rogers right behind him, and a car that I believe will have to qualify in on time, the 66 car, so that's a good looking lap for Will. Riley Herbst.
Yeah, so the speeds are already way up from what they had in practice, what the fastest time was there. So you can see the confidence the drivers have in it, knowing that it's dried out a little bit, but you know, that's only probably going to lead to a couple of more spins.
There is the alternate start-finish line that they will tick to start and stop the clock. It's right before the pit lane entrance, so gives them a chance to dive in after that if they want to. Let's see what Allgaier does now. Quite a bit better. 137.8.
A lot of smoke right there. Somebody's locked up a tire. That's that corner right there, turn 12.
Just no grip, man, at all.
Turn 12 is exactly where you're going to see a lot of lockups, because the cars are turning and still kind of carrying the right front tire through that braking zone.
Allgaier to pit lane. You see the clock ring up on the left-hand side. 14 minutes plus remaining. This is Connor Mosack, a driver with quite a bit of road course experience and a really quick car, DJ, at Road America until it wasn't. Just gave up on him and unfortunately oiled the track down, but he was quick on the day.
Yeah, a lot of talent, no doubt. It's just a matter of figuring out how to navigate through these races. You know, they're long. A lot happens throughout an entire day in these Xfinity races.
AJ Allmendinger's onboard camera here as he's starting his lap. So he passed the alternate start-finish line a couple corners ago. Headed through the final turn out onto the front straightaway. And you can hear that's a pretty, you know, that's a corner with a lot of throttle. You can hear how hesitant he is with the damp conditions through that corner.
I'll have to say, I think NASCAR did the right thing with the wet weather tires here. I think that would have been quite ambitious, and we would have had a lot more cars spinning if everybody would have been putting slicks on trying to get more speed.
About halfway or a little past halfway through his lap, and he's starting to understand what the car can do, starting to understand the grip of the racetrack, and you see that lap time there just a little bit better than Ty Gibbs heading down into turn 7. Just a few more corners to complete this lap.
I'll let you know here. Frankie should be coming across here pretty quick. Trending really good.
Wow. Across the line right here.
Quite a lap here. No surprise.
Boom. Dale Jr., I got to ask you about these slow corners in a 700 horsepower stock car. How hard is it?
Well, it's easy to slide, you know, the right front, left front tire, especially on damp patches of asphalt. And in these cars as well, we still see the wheel hop where you're trying to downshift and not matching the revs on the engine. You get, you know, the brakes and the wheels hopping in the back of the car. And you see so many mistakes, and it's easy to do in this car.
And you saw as we rode along there with AJ just how hard he was having to work to get that kind of speed out of it. So that's the fastest car and maybe the best driver in the field that was having to work as hard as he was to put that lap down. But what a great lap it was.
As we watch the most recent road course winner, Sam Mayer, got his first win at Road America after that crazy race you got to call, Dave. Just one point of clarification from crew chiefs down here. They're being told by NASCAR they cannot change tires during this session. So like AJ Allmendinger, who just went out and went fastest, and also Justin Allgaier, who more importantly spun just a moment ago, they have to run that set for the entire session if they go back out.
How great, Marty. Following up on that, Sam Mayer on his one set is tracking behind Allmendinger, but looks like a pretty solid lap. You see Austin Hill there in the 21, also on the tracker.
Yeah, so they'll probably be just doing one lap at a time with that because it gets so much heat in getting up to speed and then running that lap. So they'll come in, try to probably run through some water as they're coming, which you can't hardly help but run through some water, but to cool those down and then try to go back out and get one more lap before the end of the session. They've got, we're just coming up on halfway through this session right now.
Yeah, the problem is there's only like a corner or two before you exit the racetrack once you complete your lap. Yeah. You know, to be able to put them in some damp conditions, find some damp asphalt. There's only about 100 yards or a couple hundred yards of asphalt there before you bring it to pit road.
Yeah, I think coming on pit road is probably the wettest part. So you do at least get that part of it just as you enter pit road a little bit. There looks like a little puddle down there you can get. And I see most drivers trying to go through that.
Brandon Jones 12th on a fairly busy racetrack right now, about a dozen cars on track, but Jones able to carve out a nice clean area for him to make his lap in.
The other thing that I like that I don't know if we haven't really picked up on is this soft tire is putting a bunch of rubber down on this racetrack. It's not going to be an entirely green racetrack going forward for everybody that runs here today. So that's kind of a good thing. When you go out there on a green racetrack, it's easier to lock up tires, easier to slide tires. This soft rain tire Goodyear has here is putting down tons of rubber.
And we see Parker Kligerman here, who we talked about earlier, to finish second. Yeah, worst case scenario, as we talked about, running up on a slower car and a part that Parker just couldn't be aggressive enough to get offline because there wasn't enough dry track for him to do that. And so this is going to really hurt this one lap. So does he, with the session now with just 9 minutes left, does he take this one and try to run another one to just improve that starting spot?
It was Colin Garrett in the other orange car, the 07, that Parker encountered.
Run one more here. Run one more lap.
And so he will trip the line and then try to make this one the good lap.
And hope that nobody else
And hope that no one else is there. That's right. They see some cars getting out of the way. They know they're not.
Oh, big lockup on the right front there.
Yep.
So you're kind of turning when you start to mash the brake pedal, and that right front's getting carried around that braking zone.
Now, the good thing, it wasn't a terrible lap that Parker put down there, so that's the good side of it. I mean, he put down a top 10 speed.
7th now for Kligerman. 8 minutes remaining.
All right, big lockup on the left front now, and the right front. Gonna miss this corner.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of lockup there.
Just he knew, hey, I put a top 10 lap down. I'm gonna go push it hard. I'm gonna go for broke. Didn't work out, but now he knows where the limit is.
Jeremy Clements behind him must be thinking, holy cow, what's going on up there?
Yeah, and that's going to flat spot the tires enough. I think that even if he does continue to run, it'll have enough vibration and a lack of front grip and turn that won't really be able to make any good lap time with this thing going forward.
And Parker shuts her down. Clements fires on by. Wow, he was almost on the grass there, DJ.
Just trying to get everything that you possibly can out of it. Starting position is hugely important here. Tough place to pass, and you realize that. It allows you to be a little more relaxed, if you will, if you can put down that good lap and get a good starting spot instead of having to try to start from the very beginning of the race and making up spots.
Something else to consider, I talked to a couple of drivers who don't expect to be in the top 10 for the majority of this race. 15th on back, they were saying that new start-finish line, by the time they get all spread out down the front straightaway, I'm just going to be coming out of the final turn, so I'll be much further behind than I used to be.
Yep. Yeah. See on the board, Jed Burton throws himself in the top 10. Good run for him. Marty.
Junior, we've seen 32 cars on the racetrack and some interesting names who have not gone out, including the man tied for the regular season points lead, John Hunter Nemechek. So Cole Custer came in a moment ago and said, man, I could have picked up a half a second if I just would have known what to do on my lap. So what John Hunter is doing is he's having Ben Bayshore, his crew chief, sort of relay verbally what the fast drivers have done on the racetrack. They're watching SMT back, Junior, and he's kind of said, here's what A.J. Allmendinger did, here's what Ty Gibbs did, here's what Austin Hill did. Those are the three fastest cars. Kind of walked them through their laps. So would that be enough information for you, Junior, verbally to go out and replicate that when you do finally go out? They're going to wait until the last minute here, probably roll with about 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, that'd be tough to be able to take verbal information to try to paint the picture in your mind of what the driver's actually doing. But just hearing the lap time would be very helpful for me as we watch Josh Berry, who's on a pretty decent lap here. He's about almost halfway through, just about halfway through his lap, trending really well. But just knowing the lap time, look, we qualified at a 140. The pole right now is a 134. It's significantly quicker, a lot more grip. That kind of information can help the driver know exactly how much more he can push into the corners. I mean, it's pretty much dry everywhere by this point. So just go out there and you can see this tire has a ton of forgiveness. There's a lot of movement in the back of the car. The guys are really comfortable with that. As long as you don't make any big mistakes in the braking zone as far as wheel hop and locking up tires, you can have a lot of fun with this car during these switchbacks right here. You just driving the car and it's just kind of sliding around in the back. It's a lot of fun. It's not as treacherous as it was earlier in practice.
Yeah, and I think what we're able to see as we track these other cars that are going out later is just how comfortable A.J. Allmendinger got with his car about a little before halfway around his lap, because we see some people challenge in the first half lap what A.J. was running, but it's after that we see them fall off, and that's where A.J. felt more comfortable that he could attack the course a little bit more than what he did in the first part of the lap. Got that out of the way, and then he really put up a time that's going to be hard to beat.
Josh Berry lands in third there. They waited to go, and it turned out to be a good decision for them. Josh put together a mistake-free lap, and now we see the 20 of Nemechek on the racetrack. He's just pulling onto the racetrack. Watch him run through the damp conditions here on the straightaway, obviously getting out of the way of this faster car too, but trying to keep temperature down in the tire before he starts to run his fast lap.
Justin Allgaier coming down the front straightaway at Indianapolis. The backwards way, that's what they do on the road course, run it opposite of the oval.
And he had just started his lap here, half a second down, so just struggling to be able to find speed. And he's really good on the road courses, always has been competitive, but this lap is trending in the wrong direction.
I heard him frustrated earlier with no grip in the 7. We heard on the radio. He'd like to pick himself up, currently in 23rd with the lap he put down.
Yeah, so this, the lap is in comparison to AJ's, and so he was 3 seconds off of what AJ ran. So even though we see that, here he is at a second and a half right now, anything under that is going to move because he's way back. He's 23rd spot right now. So, he needs to just be solid the rest of this lap to minimize the damage of that spin early on in this qualifying session.
John Hunter Nemechek's flyer now. 5 wins on the season, tied for the regular season championship. Like to see a good result here again today. Clean through turn 1.
Just slowly losing time. See him under driving the car a little bit, getting a lot of curb right there. He's just not, I think he's out here right now surprised by how much grip the track has.
Yeah.
How dry it is. You see that corner, how he almost drove it into the grass. He underdrove the corner a little bit, just thinking it would be wetter, thinking it would be slicker. So, he will run this lap and more than likely maybe try another one.
And this is a driver, too, that at Road America had a very fast race car as we were doing that race, Dave, and made a couple of mistakes, and they kept compounding, and then eventually he got off course there. I think it was around 12 or 13, something like that, and just destroyed the front of his race car and cost himself a lot of points that day. In what could have been a very solid day, he ended up losing a lot of points in his battle for the regular season championship.
And you saw right there before we cut away, Nemechek was dealing with some lap traffic as he was starting that second lap. So that's going to affect that in some way negatively. As you see, Ty Gibbs.
He's going for it, Junior.
Yeah, he is on a hot lap here. Down into turn 7. Just a couple more corners to finish this lap up. And I don't know if it will beat his 35 flat that he's got on the board. It's a little bit slower.
Junior, the interesting thing is you kind of wondered where that line would be when teams would go back out. Well, Ty Gibbs went back out on the racetrack thinking maybe we can beat A.J. Allmendinger. And then Allmendinger countered that by going back out on the racetrack to cover Gibbs. So kind of an interesting thing here, these guys battling for the pole.
A lot of pride on the line, and don't hold them back. Let them go for it.
Well, I think
2/10 slower than your fastest lap.
I think JJ might have just got bored and decided to go back out. No, there's really nobody close to him.
Yeah, well, he's going to run here. He's just starting his next run here. There's pit exit off to the right.
So you can watch AJ versus AJ. His time at the top, the quick time that's been set down below. You can see he's in the green.
Sorry, I meant that was pit entry back there, and then the restart zone down the front straightaway. He's already a 10th off. See if he can improve here through all the technical part of this racetrack.
And I'm sure he knows, Junior, which corner he could have hit better on that lap, right?
Yeah. Well, that, and he's also learning just how much these tires fall off. You know, we know they're softer, we know they do, but how much? Is it a big jump? Is it not even necessary to even run that second lap? He was, pretty concerned about it being good enough to run 2 laps. You can see already 6/10 off as he's coming up into turn 7, gonna run through this switchback of 8 and 9 and then complete the lap. So I bet he gets out and says, man, if you don't hit it on lap 1, that's a half a second slower or more that you're going to lose in the tire's ability and performance for lap 2.
Did not better his time. Again, on the wet weather tires now from Goodyear. We do not know what the conditions are going to be like for the start of the race, but we believe there's a chance they're going to have to run these wet weathers later on this afternoon. We shall see.
Yeah, we can see Riley Herbst here out running, and
Kaz with him.
Yep. Unfortunately, encounters, Kaz is trying to get his lap in, but this certainly impeded Riley Herbst from being able to do it. He had a great run at Road America. He had a couple of incidents that he got in, none of his making, but came back and ended up with a solid finish, and that's propelled him to have a decent points spot now as he battles to make the playoffs.
Top 10 run for him here this afternoon, and Riley told me yesterday he's got a lot more confidence than he had just a few weeks ago. They made a crew chief change. His crew chief got moved up into the Cup Series, and so an engineer he was very familiar with became his crew chief. He said it was difficult to start with, but he said now he has pumped me full of confidence, and they've had some really good runs lately.
Yeah, they sure have. Yeah, you could see that this team is, that a lot of improvement. They're having speed to where they're not putting their driver in difficult situations like what he was at the beginning and trying to make things happen.
Checkered flag has come out on qualifying. The 20-minute session is over. A.J. Allmendinger, not unexpectedly, the quickest of the 42 cars, and that number is significant because 38 will start the race, so 4 drivers, unfortunately, are going to have to tow it home. It's a bad feeling.
Yeah, never fun, but this was a popular race, so a lot of times we just do have a full field, and that's it, and everybody's going to make that comes here. But everybody wanted to run at Indianapolis and try to make their mark and enjoy a good day.
Yeah, you hate sending cars home, but that's a sign of a healthy series when you have enough cars that are coming out here, try to make the race. And AJ will start from the pole, familiar spot for him at all these road courses, especially in the Xfinity Series.
It's AJ climbing out. We'll mention that Will Rogers, Colin Garrett, the 44 car, that is Connor Daly, and the 08 car of Camden Murphy. They will not make the show, so fortunate for those drivers. Very good news for this driver. Another, I don't know what kind of trophy he gets for this, Marty, but he is he's going to claim another here at a road course.
Yeah, and anytime you win anything in Indianapolis, it's significant. You told me you didn't know what to expect, and it looked like it was only one lap on those rain tires.
Yeah, it's just it's tricky. I mean, obviously, these Goodyear rain tires are really soft, and we didn't know with the first run we didn't even tape up. I didn't know how many laps to run. Luckily, where the start-finish line is, I put a pretty good lap in, so they told me to shut it down. But Leaf Home Water Solution Chevy is pretty, obviously it's pretty good, but we have no idea what it's going to be like in the dry, so we'll find out about 5 o'clock.
You told me Road America, certainly not what this race team wanted, not the way you wanted to represent Colleague Racing. Is it now much better coming here, clearly on the pole? Do you feel more confident about the race?
Yeah, I mean, I think as always, we're just the evolution of trying to make our setups better. I think that's the thing still at times at Colleague Racing. Like, we have racetracks when we're not good. I mean, we're pretty far off. Road America is tricky with the repave and everything with it, but we definitely didn't have the speed. We'll see the long run here. Fortunately, last year we had a really good car, so we just try to copy it. And it's I heard you talking about any time you do anything significant at Indy, I love this place. Roger, Doug, all the staff here. Thank you for putting on such a beautiful racetrack. So just very fortunate in life to be able to do this and get to drive at Indy.
No rest for AJ, though. Got to get in the Cup car here just in a few moments. But on the pole, first goal of the day on the pole for Indianapolis for the Xfinity race later today, Dave.
Must be the energy drink and the talent behind the wheel there. As you see AJ on the front row with Ty Gibbs. They started 1-2 last year in this race as well.
Yeah, Josh Berry's lap stayed in the top 5. A solid job by him. And Austin Hill as well. Great start spot for Austin.
Ross Chastain, you see there in the 91. That's a full Mario Goslin car. And Preston Pardus in row 6, probably the first name you may not be familiar with for drivers that don't race the entire series.
Yeah, and we can see Sheldon Creed and Parker Kligerman battling for that 12th spot to try to make the playoffs. They're going to be starting close to each other today.
Check out row 9, Sammy Smith and Chandler Smith, not related, and there they are again.
Jeremy Clements, family-run team, always pretty good on the road courses back there in row 10.
Josh Balicki in the 36, one of 4 Cup Series drivers that are running both races this weekend. And on through row 16. There you see where Brandon Jones ended up, not the lap that he was hoping for.
And Sage Karam, who had a great run at Road America a few weeks ago back in row 14.
Andre Castro making his second start in the series. And Ryan Ellison, the 43, announced a full deal for next year already. So the driver of the 43 car happy to be in the show today and for all of next year. So that is your 38 car starting field for this afternoon's race here on the most famous racetrack in the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Cup practice and qualifying coming up next, and then IndyCar racing on USA and Peacock. You won't want to miss that. Join us later today on USA 5 o'clock for Countdown to Green, followed by Xfinity Series. And then tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, Countdown to Green, followed by the Cup Series race. So glad you could join us here this morning. For the entire NBC crew, we invite you to stay tuned.